Hello, my name is Zachary Nelson. I am the regional archaeologist within the Bureau of Reclamation, the Upper Colorado region. I help solve problems relating to cultural resources within Colorado, New Mexico, Utah, Wyoming, and a little bit of Arizona. I apologize for the lack of pretty pictures today. Let's begin. Let's say that you have a friend who's hurting. Your friend tells you that his grandfather's house was broken into and thieves stole some family heirlooms. What do you do? Perhaps you tell the friend, call the police, or share a story about a similar incident in your life. Perhaps there is nothing you can do in the moment, but just listen. Each year, I host a 2-day meeting about the cultural resources associated with the Grand Canyon and the Colorado River. Participants includes tribes, federal and state agencies, and other signatories to the programmatic agreement for Glen Canyon Dam's Adaptive Management Program. The very first meeting, I was scared. I barely knew anyone, I was in charge, and the first session was intentionally about complaints. I wanted to know what Reclamation was doing right and wrong from the perspectives of those involved in the program. My future friends were hurting, so I listened for several hours. The Bureau of Reclamation opens and closes the Glen Canyon Dam. For many years, the dam was run like it was a spigot, turned on and turned off without much thought of its effects on wildlife, the environment, etc. Gradually, that changed. Reclamation now discusses its actions with a wide variety of stakeholders. Some are single-minded about one issue. Others are concerned about a wide variety of issues. And a few are satisfied as long as the water flows. Included in this diverse setting are 6 sovereign nations: Wallapai, Hopi, Kaibab, Navajo, Paiute, and Zuni. Their concerns are wide-reaching: environmental, archaeological, spiritual, cultural, while also concerned with electricity and water for their people. Plus, there's history from the conquest, hurt, abuses, and years of neglect. It's complex. My friends are hurting. Within the Glen Canyon Dam Adaptive Management Program, there are different priorities. Let's take one example today: non-native fish. Invasive fish are generally bad for the environment. They eat the native fish. They have few predators in the system, so they are often really successful in reproducing because the native fish prefer their hometown food. So the non-natives grow to adulthood. In general, non-native species can quickly have large populations to the detriment of native species. The Endangered Species Act protects native species from extinction. Federal agencies have an obligation to follow the law, and there are specific goals and targets written into the management documents for the Glen Canyon Dam. If native species fall below X, then reclamation needs to do Y action. For Hopi and Zuni in particular, this is a very complex issue. Life is sacred. Invasive fish, such as smallmouth bass, are alive. Their life has meaning. Killing smallmouth bass to potentially help another fish is killing life now for an uncertain future. Each individual life has value. Each is precious. The sacrifice of that life is valuable and should not be taken lightly. Zuni has emphasized to Reclamation that taking life in the Colorado River has negative repercussions in their pueblo. The religious leaders of the Zuni sent a letter, this was in 2010, to the Department of the Interior about the planned mechanical removal of rainbow trout and brown trout, which outlines some of their concerns. They stated, "It is our position that all animals, including all aquatic life, native and non-native fishes, insects, amphibians, snakes, beavers, etc., plus birds, Plants, rocks, sand, minerals, and the water in the Grand Canyon are sacred, have special meaning, and a unique familial relationship to the Zuni people. The entire environment at the bottom of the Grand Canyon is sacred to the Zuni people and the Grand Canyon, including the confluence of the Little Colorado and Colorado rivers, which are integrally connected to Zuni religious beliefs, ceremonies, and prayers. ... We are especially concerned that the continuation of the mechanical removal activities proposed for the confluence of the Little Colorado and Colorado rivers within Grand Canyon magnifies the negative effects of this action for the Zuni people and all life. We therefore request that the Department of the Interior seek alternative measures to control the populations of non-native fishes within this important ecosystem that do not entail the massive destruction of life that has characterized the past mechanical removal efforts. End quote. Over the past 3 years, I listened and held discussions with many people. We talked through the issues and looked at all sides. I learned a lot about fish biology, conflicting priorities, spawning timing, and cultural values. Zuni and Reclamation now have a draft agreement about the taking of life in the Colorado River, which is a sacred place to each tribe. Reclamation will balance the taking of life in the Colorado River with helping life in and around the Zuni reservation. There is an endangered species of fish called the Zuni bluehead sucker who is hurting. Reclamation will aid Zuni in preserving this fish. Is this compromise perfect? No, but it is a step up along the steep trails of the canyon. There are many steps ahead of us. Occasionally, I trip. Sometimes I walk too fast, and sometimes I stop to catch my breath. Mostly, I am in awe of the sacred place around me. The Bureau of Reclamation funds opportunities for tribes in the National Park Service to monitor the health of the Grand Canyon. These moments in the Grand Canyon are used to identify elements at risk, to verify the status of particular resources, and to have life-altering experiences in a sacred place. For example, the Hopi tribe, in their 2024, last year, Grand Canyon Monitoring Report state, a fundamental assertion of the Hopi tribe long-term monitoring program is that the physical state of a resource and its health are two distinct characteristics, and it is toward the measurement of the latter that this program is directed. The state of the resource can easily, sometimes, be measured through the Western scientific approach. How many fish are there? Their size, the temperature of the water, its clarity, how many millions of tons of sand are in the system, the amount of vegetation coverage, etc. However, whether a given resource state is healthy is a cultural evaluation drawing on the cultural understanding of the ecosystem and the roles the resource plays within the ecosystem and the society, in this case, the Hopi society. For example, there is a survey question for the monitoring team about birds and willows. Quote, this year, Hopi reported that the birds are doing very well. A number of people noted that the bird population is linked with the riparian habitat, and if that is doing well, so will the birds. An abundance of water birds and canyon wren were seen on the trip. A handful of egrets and red-tailed hawks were also observed. ... Willows are an important cultural species in their own right, and they serve as an indicator species for the post-dam riparian zone. The health assessment for willows continues to be favorable. All participants responded that willow was healthy, except for two. These individuals worried about tamarisk damaging willow populations. Hopi encourages projects like the Wallapai Willow Regrow projects. End quote. These moments in the canyon are also healing moments for the tribes involved. They can see the reality of their history carved on the walls of the canyon and written on the land and sky. Friends stick by us when we are hurt and try to help. During our discussions about the tribal river trips, my friends have told me that artifacts are missing from their grandfathers' houses. Heirlooms. You see, archaeological sites belong to those who created them. The stone tools, the grinding stones, the roasting pits, and houses are not abandoned. Grandfather is simply not visible to us. The stewards of his home are his grandchildren. I've heard from my friends that those who visit grandfather's lands leave graffiti on his house. I've learned that his favorite places are too crowded for his grandchildren to talk to him. Worse, though, is that we are all part of this pain. I work for the federal government, whose policies and practices systematically removed elements of tribal life, including the removal of individual families from the Grand Canyon. You see, the federal government wanted the Grand Canyon to be a pristine place of nature, and Native American families had no space in that vision. They became strangers in their grandfather's house. It doesn't take long for a memory to fade. Places that were important, and hence not spoken about, were lost with the passing of an individual elder. Memory depends on the place to spark it. As you float the river, you remember what comes next. The sight, smell, and past activities crowd your brain. Because the tribes were removed, important teachings were left behind, unassociated with the place, smell, feelings of the event that spawned them. Many here bring strangers down into the canyon. These strangers often don't understand the why behind some of the reasons places are closed, or how to act responsibly. They are only in the canyon once and don't understand that their once leaves sticky fingerprints on grandfather's table, which are difficult to remove, but very easy to accumulate. Friends help friends out. I've spoken a bit in metaphor, relating very complex topics to everyday situations to make it easier to understand. The Bureau of Reclamation strives to listen and understand the tribal voices around us, and I hope that you too will listen and become even better stewards of a most sacred place. Thank you.